second session of webinars, and today we have Alba with us. I'm going to introduce her very briefly. Alba Comino holds a PhD in archaeology from the University of Murcia in Spain, and at present she is a postdoctoral researcher at the Institute of Contemporary History at the Nova Lisboa University School of Social Sciences and Humanities, where she works on the project Rereading European Cultural Heritage in Latin American Women Writers, Travel Literature of the Early 20th Century. She's also a collaborating researcher of other projects, Reinventando los Museos de Arqueología y Antropología, and member of a research group such as Pelagius Network. Dr. Camino's background is placed at the intersection between cultural history studies and digital humanities, and she's particularly interested in the complex relationships between identity and cultural heritage, driven by post-colonial and gender approaches. So her research focuses on how societies use the past to build meaning in the present, especially through recognizing women as historical agents and analyzing memory and material culture as identity elements. So this is also our focus and our main interest. So we are happy to have Alba with us today. And Alba, you have the floor for between 30 and 40 minutes. And don't worry if you need some more minutes or less. So keep calm, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon to all. Thank you very much to Gaia for this opportunity. I'm going to share my my screen, but I think I can't.
Oh, Darko.
Yeah, Darko.
Yo las paso.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, Alba, you have the floor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. So I think we can, the second slide, we can stay there. So today we are going to say with you the methodological approach of the reading period, using as a sample the book Viaje de Recreo, written by Clorinda Matto de Turner and published in 1990. It is an interdisciplinary methodology focusing digital humanities and gender decolonial approach. Following. Clorinda Matto was a writer who inspired women through her literature and her effort to improve the female education. Amelia, we can put the other slide, the following slide. This side, she belongs to a circle of women writers, among who were Juana Manuela Gorriti and Aurora Cáceres. She collaborated in important magazines and newspapers, and in 1892, she founded in Lima La Equitativa, a printing company where only women worked. In 1895, Matto went into exile to Buenos Aires, where she worked as journalist and founded the magazine Bucaro Americano, and taught in the Normal School of Women Teacher as well as the Women Business School. In addition, she was the first woman enjoined to Athenaeum of Buenos Aires, and she was also part of National Council of Women of Argentina. Matto visited Europe in 1908, where she met renowned feminists such as Carmen Burgos and Matilde Serao, gave lectures, and studied female education system. She wrote her experience in the book Viaje de Recreo. Can you pass the follow slide? Thank you. We will use this book to analyze the historical discourse about European culture. So the European sociocultural construction, however, the power relationship tends to the selective preservation of historical memory and the support of a particular reading of national history, which sometimes symbolically excludes diversity. But European society is multicultural and faces the challenge of configuring inclusive and safe living space. So it is necessary to identify the cultural heritage that doesn't represent diversity and build a plural history. According to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. Can you pass the next slide, please? But you can think that I'm wrong because Matto references are about a reality that happened a century ago. Yes, but nowadays we can visit some of the monuments that Matto refers to her book, such as Colón statue in Barcelona. Can you pass the next slide? So our objective is to give voice to Clorinda Matto as cultural agent because we want to emphasize the need to make non-European women visible as cultural agents in historical narratives to break the Eurocentric, patriarchal, and androcentric cultural canon. We also want to determine the relationship between European cultural heritage and otherness process. In this sense, we observe that Matto built an identity in the movement and connect different cultures. And finally, we intend to think about how societies use the past to build meaning in the present. Can you?
Yeah.
So we improved our methodology to study how narratives about European cultural heritage are produced and transmitted, configuring imaginary that can affect current identity and tourist political measures. So in this way, we try to add social value closely related to the phenomenon Black Lives Matter. European cultural heritage is a result of a process of selection where power structure plays an essential role because they allow voice to be louder and more easily heard than others. In the 20th century, there was an official and hegemonic discourse about the meaning of cultural heritage into Western history written by male, white, upper middle class, and individualist authors. However, connotation of cultural heritage are understood differently depending on religion, gender, status, or ethnicity because there is no unique historical discourse. In the framework of the colonial feminist, an illustrative example is a performative act of dressing the statue of Isabel I of Castile in La Paz, Bolivia, as a cholita in the 12th of October 2020 by Mujeres Creando. Once we know the problems to study the cultural heritage through the Matto's gaze, a Latin American woman writer commitment to indigenous but with European training, what information can we obtain from Matto travel logs? The next. Travel's narratives constitute a palimpsest in which different experience overlap. Next, we have geographical context. So travel books provide information about buildings, museums, or archaeological sites. So it is possible to reconstruct authors' itineraries and to know the intra-history of cultural heritage elements. For example, the Lady of Elche was discovered in 1897 at La Alcudia. Some days after, the Iberian sculpture was sold to the Louvre Museum, where Matto saw it. In 1941, the Lady of Elche returned to Spain and the Prado Museum owned it. And in 1971, it was transferred from the Prado Museum to the National Archaeological Museum of Spain, where it is currently exhibited. Next. We also have a double temporal dimension. I mean, historical information about places or artwork and author's time chronological reference. We note that Matto traveled around Europe in 1908. This is our timestamp. But she also offers chronological information about monuments. For example, the restoration of Filarete Tower in 1905. The next. And a travel log also offers information about an inner travel. Anecdotes are mixed with artistic appreciations, emotional comments, or cultural reference. In this fragment, we appreciate that Matto felt sad when she visited the museum in Pompeii. So in this way, we offer an analysis of Matto travel logs by integrating different dimensions of her experience. Next. In our research, we follow the FAIR principle of findability, accessibility, interoperability, and reusability. Next. The first step in a digital humanities project is to define a data management plan, which include how to administer data and the storage plates to ensure the long-term sustainability of the project. In this case, we have created a data management plan using Argos, an open source platform linked to Zenodo, where we store our dataset. We have data files, image, text, audio, etc., and executable files, as for example, Python script, and all these data are easy to find and accessible. Next. The second step is to prepare the data according to our objectives. In our case, we organize the data in an ontology, so we use an open source software, Protege, to create the ontology and reuse some classes and properties from CDOC, CRM, and Europeana conceptual model through link open data. In addition, we use the control vocabulary of Rusio infrastructure to define some categories. On the other hand, we also want to reconstruct Matto itineraries, so we use Python and QGIS to geoparsing and create map, and our geolocation system is based on GeoNames geographical reference. Finally, we are interested in recognizing impressions associated with European cultural heritage, so we apply sentiment analysis using R to explore the vocative vocabulary of the cultural heritage descriptions. Next. So, okay, let's start with the process. Through the markup procedure, we create an informational structure that describes the source, that is the Viaje de Recreo book. This book is in PDF format, so machine-readable text is extracted using optical character recognition techniques. The possible mistakes are corrected using regular expressions. And finally, we have a machine-readable and processable file in plain text format that we encode use XML markup language and text encoding initiative standard. For this, we use the code editor Visual Studio Code. We previously established normalization rules because we work with a corpus and we need the documentation to be homogeneous. We define how to apply the categories of the ontology. Next. So, for example, we talk all the building Matto visited using expression place name. Next. But we use the attribute type and the class correspondent to different library from a museum or archive, as we can see in this slide. Next. But what happened with human readers? Now we have a rich text thanks to link open data. So we use the Tape Publisher Toolbox for the digital edition of the encoding text. Next. Once the text is encoded in a machine-readable format, we can obtain information from European cultural heritage. We interrogate the book using XQuery. This programming language allows us to query and retrieve data from XML documents. Next. The tool is Excite from XSDB, that is an XML database. In the sample, we can see the reference of artworks from the Louvre Museum that Matto mentioned, such as Venus de Milo and Gioconda. Next. Then we introduce this information in the ontology model. In this slide, we can observe one part of our model. We can appreciate the connection between places, objects, events, and persons. These relations are difficult to detect by human observation, but digital approach allows us to quantify and detect patterns. In the sample, we can see that Gioconda is mentioned by Matto in the book Viaje de Recreo, and we also know that is a picture that was preserved in the Louvre in the 1980s. Software such as Gephi to analyze Matto's networks during her travel around Europe. The book shows that sociability was a fundamental job of the writer's trade. Let's remember that Matto's ability to adapt and participate in cultural sphere of different countries during her career allows her to publish different newspapers and magazines and also direct the printing company. In the sample, we can appreciate the person who attends the reception given in honor of Matto at the Hotel Inglés in Madrid in December of 1908. Among we were female writers such as Carmen Burgos, Concepción Jimeno, Consuelo Álvarez Pool, María del Pilar Contreras Rodríguez, Sofía Casanova, Salomé Núñez Topete, or Carolina Soto y Corro. Next. Regarding the geoliterary analysis, we use geographical reference from geonames to locate places. Then we process the data with Colab Notebook because it allows us to combine executable code in Python and text. Next. Depending on the type of map, we use QGIS. In this example, we represent a Matto train route through Italy in August 98. So we can see we traveled from Pisa to Rome, and she also visited Siena, Perugia, Orvieto, etc. Next. In this other example, we can see Matto's itinerary in Rome on the 6th of August. She visited the Forum area, so in the map appears, for example, Basilica Giulia, Tempio di Antonino e Faustina, Chiesa di San Lorenzo in Miranda, etc. Next. So once the European cultural heritage have been geolocated and linked to digital collections, we can analyze the text using sentiment analysis technique to evaluate Matto's perception. We have used TD-text packaged encoding in R programming language and for sentiment lexicons, affin, bin, NRC, and sunset, where positive and negative words balance are associated with a degree of intensity. Since most of implementation of sentiment analysis is for English language, working with documentation in Spanish is a challenge. It is necessary to adapt methodologies, techniques, or workflows. So we use the adaptation to Spanish of TD-text library and the UV dictionary created by Siete Partidas Digital project led by Professor Fradejas from Universidad de Valladolid. In this example, we can appreciate the evolution of feelings in narrative discourse of Viaje de Recreo. We saw that on page 150, the emotions are predominantly negative, and this is because Matto talks about a lot of problems. Next. In the second example, we use the dictionary NRC to know Matto's main emotion about Columbus sculpture in Barcelona. This lexicon has more 14,000 words classified either in positive and negative, and also linked with various emotions as anger, joy, sadness, etc. So we note that in the example, the confidence and anticipations stand out, but this is only a test because now we are working on getting better results for text in Spanish. Next. This is a panoramic view because our research is a work in progress. We started the project in January and we still have to finish the first phase. So this methodology allows us to organize the information and obtain new knowledge about European cultural heritage to answer the questions: what heritage elements are selected? What power relations do they perpetuate? What version of memory, identity, or sense of place do they legitimize? So in this way, we will evaluate different historical narratives because it is not about adding women's testimonies or creating a list of female cultural production, but about trying to build a plural history. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I'm a little nervous and I think
But it is, yeah, but we understood so great. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much for your efforts. Great job, because you begin in January. So doing all this task in a few months, it's really a successful experience. So yes, you are at the beginning of your research, but from a technical point of view, I think the hard work is done. So congratulations for this. I have a couple of questions, but I don't know if someone has a question to ask. Isabel, Mary-Louise, Susan.
Yes, I would like to congratulate our presenter today and well chosen figure to talk about and share with us this experience. Welcome you also in Lisbon and Portugal, and whatever you need from here that I very much surprised to see this great combination between heritage, identity, and women travel writers. So this is a very fantastic idea that our colleagues Amelia and Katia tried to bring this interconnection and different facets for our brainstorm, also for the interchange with and moving from our women writers in history. And I would like to ask you what the most difficult aspect that you find to cope with three different subjects so widely to cope with at the same time, let's say, because it's very interesting to see this kind of result, the image it brings, like somehow we had it, and I believe we all knew it when thinking about the connections those women writers have, and travel texts also, which were projects within the Daria group also. But I would like to ask you, how did you manage to put these facets intertwining?
Yeah, well, the more difficult was to define our corpus because we need something homogeneous. We need Latin American travel text in Spanish. I don't want a reference in newspaper. I want police book. We also need that these women are commitment with feminist process and also with miscellaneous and indigenous movement. And we also need that they visited the same countries, Spain, France, Switzerland. So this is the most difficult part of the project. When we have all this information and we finish to encode the data, I think to process the information was more or less easy because all are in a system. So we will know who visited this or other monuments, when, what is the opinion of them about a monument, and then we can contrast the information.
Congratulations, it is very interesting, and there are also cost actions on these subjects, although focusing in some specific aspects. So it's very interesting that you could share with us this possibility within others. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm sure that Susan has something to say and to propose. Sure.
I was wondering why you choose this particular writer. I'm not aware at all of any South American women writers. So is she really representative in some way, or is she completely particular while traveling often? How should we understand her position toward other South American women writers?
Well, this is only an example because I start to encode Clorinda Matto.
Yeah.
But I also work with books from Aurora Cáceres, Inés Echevarría. I don't remember now the names of all the writers, but I choose different writers attending the parameter or the corpus. They reflect European cultural heritage from different countries before the Second War. So this is the reason I choose Clorinda Matto example. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of wondering if a writer like she is wording all kinds of general feelings about European culture, or is she does she have particular opinions of her own in the confrontation between herself and Rome, let's say. You see what I mean? There are all kinds of cliche meanings, and there are original reactions. Is it possible to make distinctions?
Yeah, this is the main idea of the project, because this woman have an European training. So we visit Europe with a conception that they have before to arrive to Spain or France. So because she read the travel books or guides that are very popular in this time. So the idea is to confront the national history that is official in this moment at the first of the 20th century with the testimony of this author. So in this way we can see, okay, they visit for example, I don't know, Pompeii. They visit Pompeii. Why they visit Pompeii? What element of Pompeii they selected? This element appears in the guide of Pompeii, or they focus in this aspect because are interested for them, and they compare with the origin culture, because sometimes we have this relation between both culture, because they say, oh, in Cusco we have this, but here in Paris the women or the monument, or why in Lima the museum don't preserve that here. So we try to, I don't know if I explain, we try to create a dialogue between both culture and to know why they select to write about this monument or this archaeological site or this object art in a museum, why they select to talk about Gioconda and not to talk about Victoria or Samothracia. I don't know if, I think it's because they have an idea, because they read book before to arrive here to Europe. And I want to contrast these discourses, the official discourses in the guide and the history, and their point of view.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And it's possible to illustrate the difference between official and personal, let's say.
Exactly, yeah. But there is a tension that I try to find a solution. I don't know if I can. I try.
Yeah.
Mary-Louise, I don't know. Yes, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. It was really interesting I also hadn't come across Matto before, so it's very interesting on a very basic level even to me. I wanted to ask you about your experience of linked open data, because it's something I've been interested in for a long time. The promise of it is great, the promise of interoperability and different systems understanding each other. But whenever I've looked into it, it's always seemed like our ability to do it is quite far behind the promise. So what was your experience of it? Did you find it easy? Did you find it difficult? What kind of challenges do you see?
Well, it's a challenge. And the problem is that I don't know where find training about this, because I try to do courses and I don't find information about this. So I talk with different engineers that they are very kind and helping to know how the linked open data works. To create the ontology was easily because we use this property from different ontologies and control vocabularies, because I obsessed to homogeneous and to reusability of the properties and classes. And the more difficult thing for me now is to link the digital, the object with the digital object. I mean, for example, the Gioconda picture with the link open data of Gioconda in the Louvre. So yeah, I don't do that yet, but I have to try to to get this part. But the other link, open data, works very good.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Okay, I have a question about Zenodo. Why did you choose Zenodo for store your data? Great, because it is a European infrastructure, but why not in your university servers or in Rusio or servers? So why directly Zenodo?
For two reasons. Is for recommendation of the IT department here, and also because I have a Marie Curie fellowship, and this is an infrastructure that is connected with European institutions. So, yeah.
Okay. And perhaps a question about sentiment analysis. Are you sure that it's really useful? Because sentiment analysis in a certain way is a kind of black box. And we don't know how they do it, how they, and who, well, who more or less, who they classified words on sentiment. And I was very disappointed sometimes, because if you compare, for example, sentiment analysis sentence by sentence or paragraph by paragraph, the output is really very different. So you are a believer? Do you think that sentiment analysis could help you, really?
Well, I'm not sure. This is the first phase of the project, so I say you that I try to get better results, because I'm not very happy with the result that I saw with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have to work more in this, and I think I need support from IT department here at the university to try to solve.
Because the problem is that they give us tools and we do not know how it works. So what kind of data are behind, what kind of classification. So in a more or less, automatic way, we have outputs, but these output come from where? So I'm skeptical about sentiment analysis. So against what database or corpus, not database. So what corpus are they using? How they classified words? What linguistic criteria? Nobody knows. And the outputs are very, very different. So be careful with the sentiment analysis.
Yeah, I know it. Thank you very much.
Okay, Viola, hello.
Thank you. I'm again in a difficult place as usually on Thursdays, but I can participate and I'm very happy because it was such an interesting presentation. Thank you so much, really. And I would like to ask, because I have been now following some projects, different, which would be mapping either places like in travelogues or real physical places writers would have visited and simply from reality, or others who would be concentrating only on fictional places and situating them on maps, and then some projects which would like to somehow have everything, and then there is this gray zone, what is fictional, what is not, and it's so extremely interesting in literature. So I was just going to ask about your opinion about this, and if you have also followed some project that would inspire you or something like that.
Yeah, well, I work here with Daniel Alves that work with literature. So he has a different publication related with geocoding transfer the information from literature to a map. And also there is a very interesting project in Lancaster University, deal with, I don't remember the name now, but I can send you an email with the information of this project and publication that do exactly that, transfer from the literature, real and fiction places also.
Yeah, thank you. And just what is your opinion about, you know, these methods or the approach? You know, what would be your ideas about it?
For me, it's very for me, it's very useful because I try to follow the itineraries of these travelers, and I'm very interested also to know what monuments or places or museum they visited in a city to contrast the information. So in my case, is very useful. I don't know in the fictional literature how it works. And Universidad de Santiago, they also have a project with fictional literature, and they also reconstruct itineraries. And
yeah, thank you very much.
thank you to you.
Yes, if you can send us the link to the Lancaster project and to some publications of Daniel Alves. I met Daniel Alves last week, and I will meet him next week in Budapest. So it is. I'm very happy because we have now something else to talk about. So yes. So please, yes, send us some bibliographical references, and yes. Santiago, the University of Santiago Compostela has worked on geolocalization and so on, and they were a little disappointed too because of these problems of localizing fictional places. This is the problem. So how to build a representation of a fictional place. So this is the point. Yeah.
Yeah, because you first have to create a model with a conceptual model of the imaginary world.
Of the imaginary world. The same thing for Prague, same thing for Switzerland, because around Lac Le Mans, there are some projects about the literary Le Mans Lac. And there's always this problem of fictionality, of course. Yeah. Okay. So yes, are you going to work on this project for the next 3 years or 4 years? How much time do you?
Oh, I only have 2 years until December.
2 years.
Yes. So I have.
Okay. And how many travelogues do you think you will be able to work with this method?
We have five. Yes, because I only work. I am the only person who works in the project. So
in the project, yeah.
To encoding, transfer information.
Yeah. And well, you know that right now we are moving our database, a new about women writers. We are moving the database, and for a while it cannot be available, perhaps. But have a look to the database, because we have other women writers, other travel logs, and perhaps you will find some possibilities to link with other travel logs and with other European women in order to enlarge your scope and your relationships, your links. So have a look, please.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so I think this is it. Nothing else. Okay, thank you, Alba. So
thank you very much.
You.
Thank you to you.
Thank you.
Because I understand now that you have a hard work for the next year, but I think the most important of the technical points, issues are more or less.
Oh, I think we've lost you, Amelia.
Solved. So.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah. Okay. So nothing else. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon. Thank you.